weekly chapter, Noah. In this chapter, it talks about the Babylonian tower, which with pride was built by the people of Nimrod. By the teaching of Kabbalah, the next life Nimrod continued in Nebuchadnezzar, in which speaks of Tanakh. God gave him a chance, but even here he showed pride, for which God has judged that this next life was in animals and birds. This is why, the dear people living on this planet Earth, hear so this does not happen to you. As to Nebuchadnezzar, Nimrod, and Sodom, I want to preach to you about pride. Ezekiel 16:49, Prophet Ezekiel lists 4 lawfulness of Sodom and Gomorrah. First one of them is being a proud person. All of those who are proud are of Satan. And about this today we will talk about. Apostle Paul warns the faithful living in Rome about being proud. Romans 1:30. Paul says that in the last days people will be proud. 2 Timothy 3:2. Like the ones living in Sodom and Gomorrah who were proud of what they did. 1 John 2:16. God speaks to Israel through Jeremy for them to not be proud. Jeremy 13:15. In 2 Corinthians 12:20, Paul writes how their proud hearts have led them to the wrong path, and faithful ones of Corinthia, and they have not repented in their proud hearts. Paul also writes that he will soon come and will judge them. Paul, their father, was punished by God, by Yahweh, for being proud himself, because he raised himself greater than the other apostles. He said that he was given a pain the side of his flesh, because God hates the proud. And about this, Apostle James writes, James 4:6, and Apostle Peter, 1 Peter 5:5. The scriptures write about proudness will come opportunity. Proverbs 11:2. Here a archangel lets proudness come into his heart, and for that he was thrown out of the heavens. The book Revelation writes, this is how the archangel who was in charge of the angels was humbled. This is why the scriptures say that a proud person humiliates himself. Proverbs 29:23. Jesus says that whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abused, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. Therefore, if any person has a title of a king or a minister who has power in their hands, with what he can become proudest, must remember Nebuchadnezzar, whose heart became proud, and he, like the archangel, became proud, and because of what he was forced to leave the human body and go into the flesh of animals, of birds. Daniel 4:34. After the finishing of this time period of punishment, he said these words, God is strong enough to humble the proud. This is why the Torah teaches us that we must humble our proudness, for it is the source of bad qualities and spiritual failure. The beginning of proudness is retreating of human from God and retreating of his heart from the Creator, because the beginning of sin is proudness. For this God said horrifying punishment. Proudness is not created for people. This is why we should not be proud. And those that do not listen to the word of the law and doesn't have the proudness go away from their hearts, when they will have to pay the punishment like Nebuchadnezzar. They will have to lower their soul and spirit into hell by the judgment of God. Proud people become humble because God is strong enough to humble proud people. The Bible says, keep safe your soul, so the proud hearts would not lead you to sin. Obedience 1:3 and proud of life 1 John 2:16. Because wisdom hates proudness. Proverbs 8:13. That is what is unclean to God everywhere through our hearts will not be left without a punishment. All those who in their proudness reject the law and put their own law instead with their proudness will be thrown to hell. Isaiah 14:11, Isaiah 66:15-18. And there will be coming a way to clean the soul and spirit, and after this judgment of God, clearing that proudness out. Isaiah 13:11. Dear brothers and sisters, as you see that it is better off to not be proud and to not have to go through hell in order to become clean, but to not be proud at all in this life, so that our Father in heaven would not be our enemy, because he hates the proud. Therefore, brothers and sisters of the planet Earth, I call everyone toward checking your hearts to become humble in front of the sight of God and to not be proud, because God hates the proud, and pride only leads to failure and hell.